Hey everybody, Nikolai here from RCGroups.com, and we're going to do a little software review for you today. And I'm sure you guys are wondering right about now, software review? What are you doing with a software review? Well, this ProDrenalin software has proven helpful for me, at least for stabilizing some footage that I had for reviews in the past. And I thought you guys would like to know about it if you haven't heard of it before. It's really nice software for stabilizing your videos from whether it be your Mobius or Action Cam or your GoPros, anything that you put on your quads or your airplanes. You want it to be stabilized and be looking really sharp before you put it on YouTube. And right now it's retailing at $99, which is a heck of a deal for all of the effects that it does. So a quick little rundown of the features that's going to help you out with your videos. The first thing is it's going to help you with the fisheye warp that are common with the wide-angle lenses that you're going to have on the GoPros, and then it's going to help you stabilize the video. So all the shakes and the jellos, the CMOS distortions that you'll get in there, all that kind of stuff, it's going to help clean that up a lot, and you'll be really impressed with how well it smooths out your videos. There's also image enhancements available for white balance, brightness, exposure, all that kind of stuff. You can tweak that just like you would a Photoshop picture or anything else. The tools are really nice and self-explanatory. There's also nice video effects that are pre-built in. You can change it to black and white with one click, literally. And there's some other nice effects like vignetting and all that. But I'll get into that a little bit later. I'm just running down the basics here. And there's also a nice bit of video editing tools that you can do in here. You can edit your in and out points. You can work with multiple clips at one time, and you have a whole storyboard panel available in the software. So that's a basic rundown of the features of the ProDrenalin software. So I'm going to switch over now to the actual ProDrenalin software and show you just how easy it is to use this. Okay, so here we are in the ProDrenalin software suite. And as you can see, I've preloaded a couple clips already for you for a couple different situations. We've got an onboard camera, we've got handheld shot, and we've got for my quad Mobius camera. But I'm not going to get into too many details because there is a couple of nice tutorial videos out there from ProDad on how to use the software. So I'm just going to kind of go over the highlights here. So obviously on the bottom you have your media bin with your preloaded clips. Your middle has your main play section with your play tools. These markers here will help trim your clip to whatever you want to end up exporting in the end. And over on the left here is some really nice preset filters. You can add like a black and white filter to your video to give it a nice little effect. There's a lot of other nice ones that you can add in just as easily as a drag and drop. And then all the filters and everything else can be adjusted and fine-tuned through the panels on the right side here. You've got all of your basic white balance, exposure, contrast, brightness, and saturation, all of those kind of things, as well as vignetting and all the other fine-tuning controls you might want to use to make your video look great. But the main things you're going to be using is these tools up on top. From importing your video to stabilizing it, to selecting your camera, to get rid of the fisheye, color enhancers, and other comparison tools that you'll be using will mostly be up on the top once you get your basic filters and all that set up. So what I'm first going to do, and what's most advisable, is to select your camera that you used. And this one you can't see the drop down due to my recording software here, my screen recorder. But there's a whole list of cameras, hundreds of cameras here, and I've been using the Mobius B lens, so I'm going to select that one. And what that's going to do is it knows exactly what camera that's using, what software it uses to record, and exactly how to counteract some of the CMOS distortions and other things that are specific to that camera. It also will help with the fisheye of the wide-angle lens. So you can see we've got a little bit of a fisheye here. It's even more evident when it gets up and flying, but just by clicking this little button here, it'll straighten that out. And again, it's not quite as evident here as when maybe I get up into the air. Let me find a good spot here. I know where I was looking. So right here, you can see that the fisheye is pretty evident on the horizon, but once you activate that, it straightens it out really nicely, and that'll help improve your videos just like that. So another quick thing that you can do to improve your videos really easy is just by adding these color enhancers. You just have to click the activate button, and it kind of goes through and adds, it's kind of like a polarizing filter on your camera. And in some spots it's going to be more evident than others. I noticed in some of the spots where we had clouds, like in here, that it really helps them pop out. So that's one thing that you can do real quick to your video to add a little bit of color pop to your video. Once you've got your camera set up and you've played with your colors, maybe you've added a couple filters, then you want to do your main stabilization, and this is going to be your main benefit of using ProDrenalin software. So what they have for stabilization here is a 3-star system. The first star will remove most of the most occurring distortions. The second star will remove the rarer wobbles, and the third will remove the CMOS or jello distortions that you'll sometimes get in quick vibrations. And I do have some of that CMOS distortions that I noticed occurring in my canopy latch here right in the middle, mostly when I was at full throttle, because I do have a little bit of a prop imbalance that was causing some CMOS issues there. But so we're going to see if we can get rid of that. What we're going to do is I'm going to click on the third star because I want the maximum amount of stabilization for this clip, and then I'm going to hit stabilization, and then another one is going to pop up. Again, you can't see it in the my screen recording software, so I'll take a screenshot of it for you and show it. But it's going to go through. It's going to take a little bit of time because I did hit 3 stars. This is the maximum amount of stabilization. It's going to run through a couple times and look for different things and stabilize as much as we can. So through the magic of video, in just a second I'll show you the results. So here we are with the handheld shot that I had prepared, and now that I look at it, it wasn't quite as jerky or bumpy as I had planned on it being. I didn't use my tripod, and I didn't stabilize my arm like I normally do for other handheld shots. But it didn't turn out that bad after all, so maybe this is a bad example, but just a little showing of what it can do. I wanted to do an RC shot to connect with you guys and show you what it could do, but sorry, this turned out to be not that great of an example because there's not much difference. But with that said, if you have a cell phone shot or some other camera that doesn't have a built-in stabilizer like my video camera did, then this is definitely your ticket. And here's my stabilized quad shot. Now this shot, again, wasn't all that bad. There's a little bit of detectable jiggle in the tree line, but it's not too bad. I had new props on, so there wasn't a whole lot of prop imbalance there. But I'm sure you've all had that great shot with your quads, and you've had bad props that have just ruined the shot. So this will definitely help you out in that aspect. And finally, here's the onboard shot, and as you can see, this is where things get a little interesting. The results didn't turn out quite like I anticipated, but now that I think about how the software has to analyze its location and what's happening in the shot, I can kind of understand what's going on. But as you can see, on the left side, we've got the little jitter of the stabilizers as it goes through the air, and on the right side, the horizon and trees are stable, but the actual airplane is kind of floating around, and that's because ProDrenalin has to move the subject or the picture around to stabilize what it thinks is the horizon or whatever it thinks is the main subject. Or I'm not, I can't say for sure how that algorithm works, but there's definitely some undesired qualities here of the stabilized video, but it might work for what you want to do. It's definitely stabilized for sure, but it kind of looks like the camera is floating around. So as you guys can see, ProDrenalin is a really nice software to use. It's got a lot of nice features, and the stabilization will definitely come into play and help out your shots. Like I've shown here, it won't work for all shots. It's got a lot of complicated AI that has to go into detecting the jiggle and CMOS distortions and all of that and fixing it. but it does a pretty darn good job, and it's a fraction of the cost for the big box stabilization software, so I would definitely look at giving it a try.
So there's some of you out there saying, well, I have a Mac, so what about me? Well, ProDred to the rescue, they recently just brought out Mercalli SAL for Mac. And as you can tell, this is a little bit different. So Mercalli is geared towards more of the professional user that might just need some stabilization, and then they'll import it into Premiere or whatever video editing program that they'll use. So there's not all of the presets, the black and white presets, and some of the sliders for fine-tuning color and all of that, because they plan that the user will just do that in whatever program that they normally use for video editing. However, Mercalli for Mac is a nice piece of software, real simple UI that will stabilize your video footage, just as ProDrenalin will for Windows. And it's a great option, inexpensive option to stabilize your videos, better than a lot of other softwares out there, even the big professional ones. So as you can see, I imported my movie clip into here, and using it is as simple as trimming what you want to export or what you want to work on stabilizing by dragging in those clip bars. There's also hotkeys set up to do that. And then you go up, and same as ProDrenalin, you select the camera that you used, which I have the Mobius B. And then you select your CMOS correction. If you just want to do a quick repair, you can do that, or you can add the more intense vibrations and wobble detections. And then there's also, of course, the fisheye warp removal. So the one difference about this I noticed is the fisheye doesn't go away as soon as you click it. It has to actually analyze the video first, and then you'll see the difference when you check and uncheck this. But once you get your camera selected and your CMOS correction mode selected, there's a couple other options here which usually you won't be playing with. It's just some scale options and a roll and bounce slider detector, but a lot of this is pre-selected for you. So really all you need to do is select your correction level and your camera optic, and then you go up here to analyze, and it'll go up or go through the video clip and start analyzing it. Now, same as ProDrenalin, this all depends on your computer hardware and the length of clip that you're analyzing as to how long it'll take. But you'll probably want to get a cup of coffee at least and sit back and enjoy it. But it does a really nice job. I checked it, I compared it versus ProDrenalin, and it is just as good of stabilization results. So for those of you with a Mac, you'll definitely want to check out Mercalli SAL for Mac.
And to get that last little detail into your video that makes it really stand out from the crowd, check out ProDred's Respeeder program. And what you're gonna do with this is you're gonna drag clips into it and get that great slow-mo effect, or speed it up for a fast time lapse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this clip into the timeline, and this is just a clip of a Stuka doing a flyby here, and say I want to slow down this nice little part right here. So this is really simple simple UI here, and the main things that you need to know are the green markers here are the spots that you want to alter the speed of the video clip. So say I just want to do that. The blue ones here are just to clip your video. So I only want to show this much video, I only want to render this much, and this much of it I want it to be slowed down. So that's my clip, and then so it's going to play full speed here, and then it's going to do slow down or speed up whatever I decide here, and then back to regular speed at the end. So once you decide where that part of the clip is going to be that you're going to change, you've got this neat little timeline altering twisty band here, And this is how you're going to affect the speed that it's going to change. So 1 is your original speed. Going to the right, you're going to speed up the clip, and going to the left, you're going to slow it down. So we're going to slow it down, say 15 times slower, and see how that does. Now there are a couple options before you start doing that. The subframe mode here, it kind of goes into the description, which won't show up in my screen recording here, but the orange calculation method is the highest quality, and it's gonna do all of the highest amount of subframe calculations that it can do. Otherwise, the left one it's going to calculate what it thinks is best. So beyond that, you can see the target media here. Our original media was 10 seconds, and our new duration is 24 seconds. So our slowdown increased it by 14 seconds here. And there's also, I will make note, there's also a stabilized video clip here. If you haven't pre-stabilized it through ProDrenalin or another utility, you can do that here, and it'll do the basic job. Not quite as good as ProDrenalin, but it will do the basic shake analyzation. So now that we have the clip cut down and decided what speed we're going to do, we're going to go to export it and choose your video format here, and then your render quality you want to check. Generally you're going to want to keep it on best as long as you don't have a super long one, and then you go to export, and once that's done exporting, it'll take just a couple minutes depending on how long your clip is. I'll show you what came out. And here's our stabilized shot. As you can see, as it starts, it's a little bit wonky, and then it clears right up, and the slow-mo is actually quite nice before it flies out at full speed. And up next, I have my buddy Alex on his Precision Aerobatics Extra doing a little tumble lumshavak here, and as it gets into the slow-mo, you can see it's struggling a little bit, going through the clouds, trying to fill in those frames. As most softwares would have hard problems with. But as it gets into the tumble, into the little bit of blue sky here, right about here, it starts to really clear up, and actually the slow-mo process actually looks really good in this tumble as he's going through the sky right here. So once it hit that, I was actually really impressed. I could easily use that in a review video in a cool slow-mo action shot, and just clip that part that worked really nicely through the software through Respeeder. And then finally, I took a shot of a Messerschmitt rolling off the runway here, and again, the initial couple frames, couple seconds of it actually taking off the runway are kind of sticky, but once it gets into the tree line, it smooths out, and it's actually not bad at all. And as you can see, the trees themselves, the whole background is seamlessly going in slow motion. So slow panning shots like that without much moving through it is going to look really, really nice. But I think even this takeoff shot here would turn out pretty good. So there you have it, a glimpse into what ProDrenalin, Mercalli for Mac, and Respeeder can do for your videos to take them from bland to beautiful in no time at all. The interfaces are easy to use, there's lots of nice features to take advantage of, and the price on all of these are really quite reasonable. If you've been thinking about taking your RC videos, or for that matter anything else that you happen to shoot, to a more professional or looking result, I highly recommend that you do yourself a favor and go to ProDrenalin.com to check out their offerings and try a free demo to see for yourself. Thanks for sticking with me during this review of ProDrad software. Be sure to check out my full review at RCGroups.com, and until then, keep your wings level.